HR issues can kill you. One complaint against your company can turn your world upside down. And you spend way too much time dealing with HR when you should be spending your time on making a profit. You should talk to Bambi. With Bambi, get access to your own dedicated US-based HR manager starting at just $99 per month. They get to know you and your business while providing HR expertise and the personal touch you need and want. They're available by phone, email, and real-time chat, so onboarding and terminations run smoothly. Team members reach peak performance, and your business stays compliant with changing HR regulations. And with Bambi's HR Autopilot, you'll automate important HR practices like setting policies, training, and feedback. HR managers can easily cost $80,000 a year, but Bambi starts at $99 per month. Schedule your free conversation today to see how much Bambi can take off your plate. Go to Bambi.com right now and type in Accelerate under podcast when you sign up. It'll really help the show. Spelled BAM, BEE.com. Bambi.com. Type in Accelerate.
Some cars are comfy on the inside but don't have power on the outside. And some cars have the horsepower but none of the comfort. I used to think there weren't any cars that were the total package. But that all changed when I got my Honda SUV. It's rugged and sophisticated, and right now, Honda has deals on the entire Honda SUV lineup. CR-V, HR-V, Pilot, Passport, you name it. So if you're looking for a car that's the total package, the only place you'll find it is at your local Honda dealer. Hurry before they're all gone.
Welcome to Accelerate Your Business Growth with your host, Diane Helbig. Diane is a leading small business development and leadership coach, author, and speaker who is passionate about sharing valuable ideas, tips, and techniques with business professionals worldwide. Diane brings you the world's experts and gurus in all things business. Whether it's sales, structure, social media, planning, or plateauing, guests bring their expertise and energy to each episode. When growing your business is your focus, Accelerate Your Business Growth is the show to listen to. Got a topic or guest suggestion? Let Diane know. The goal is to make sure you have the information you need to move your business forward. Thanks for joining us. Settle in and enjoy.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's podcast is sponsored by Audible.com. Audible.com is a leading provider of spoken audio entertainment and information. Listen to audiobooks whenever and wherever you want. Get a free book when you sign up for a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/businessgrowth. Accelerate Your Business Growth podcast continues to enjoy inclusion on the list of the best podcasts to listen to. And that is because of the guests who join me to share their expertise. Today is no different. My guest today is Jonathan Soares. Jonathan has built a business no one thought was possible in the agency world. As founder and CEO of Agency Labs, Jonathan and his team of builders, doers, and makers have delivered more than 600 projects for IBM, Nestle, eBay, and more, helping some of the world's leading agency teams achieve peace of mind in every aspect of technical production. Thanks so much for joining me today, Jonathan.
Thank you for having me, Diane.
I am thrilled to be having this conversation. My understanding is that you have what I will call a softer approach to selling than most startups have. So I'm wondering if you can share with the listeners what that approach is and why you've chosen to approach it this way.
Sure. So my sales approach, I have to give credit to my dad for that. He was a sales manager for GE for over 35 years. And a lot of how I saw him interact with his clients and his approach to selling. So my approach to selling, when you look at most startups, and I'm sure you get inundated in your inbox But myself as a technology company, there are times where I'll get a startup that'll reach out to me every 3 days. And a big reason for that is aggressive sales quota targets that are impressed upon account executives and sales professionals. You have to quickly get to a yes or no. And I think in today's climate, where selling is so vibrant and part of every aspect of our daily lives, it becomes very intrusive to that to some degree. So a lot of people oftentimes will ignore a lot of that outreach if it's not done thoughtfully or empathetically to the person that you're actually trying to target. So my approach is a longer cycle, but I make up for that in highly targeted and also a more volume-based approach to who I'm specifically going after. And that alleviates the gaps between I have to, find out 50 100 leads in this week or month. It offsets that specific issue that most sales reps have to face.
Okay, so this is why I wanted to have you on and have this conversation, because I firmly believe that so many salespeople are approaching sales from a really bad angle, and I agree with you. I totally agree that it's because they are being given quotas and that don't make sense, and I think they're being told to sell a certain way that doesn't make sense. And interestingly, my dad was a salesman. He was a manufacturer's rep, and like you, I watched him with his clients and learned how to sell by watching him interact with his clients and the way that he did it. And it was more, they really trusted him. He was consultative. He really knew them and their business and what would be best for them, and they trusted that. So, I'm with you 1,000,000% on this whole, we've got to change the way we're doing this to, really get it to work.
Yeah, it's a churn and burn type approach that often creates a big disconnect, and it works against your brand. That you're selling. Because the last thing you want is to annoy somebody to the point where they see your email and they want nothing to do with you. That's fairly unfortunate. Most organizations don't realize the broader impact of an aggressive sales strategy.
I so agree. That's so interesting that you say that. I completely agree. They really don't realize the impact it's having on their brand and their reputation, and that they are burning bridges, and they are losing out on really what could be potential opportunities because of their approach, not because of their product or service.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why I'm in the conversational sales approach. Our sales cycles typically the outreach is in 5 to 7 week intervals, which if you think about it, if I'm going to email you, the first of a month, and if I email you 3 days later, that's a big no-no. But if I email you 3 to 4 weeks later and say, hey, Diane, I emailed you about 4 weeks ago. I didn't hear a response. I'd really love to connect. At that point, it lays a certain level of guilt on the recipient that, oh my God, this person reached out a month ago. I didn't say anything. He's really thinking about, my schedule and not hounding me for a response. All of a sudden, it frames the mindset slightly differently. And then from there, it might take, probably 2, 3, 4, 5, even upwards of 6 or 7 outreach cycles before you're either at a point where there's a pressing need that the timing of the outreach aligns, with the gods. And someone's like, oh, I was just thinking about you. Let's have a conversation. Or you just want to be top of mind. So when that happens, that person knows that they've got someone they can reach out to.
Okay, so this is great. And so one of the things that I'm hearing is the timing really does play a role in selling. Is that right? Is that your take on it as well?
It does, especially in each industry. They have their unique timing, I guess, allotments. So my previous life, I was in consumer products, and I built a brand nationally out of college. And I had to do headquarter calls with all the major grocery retailers. And my sales cycle revolved around category reviews and category planning. So it made no sense for me to waste a category buyer's time off season. I really had to get them where they were in mind to review new products. And that made my sales outreach so much more effective. So again, it's very industry specific, but if you know your industry, you'll know when people are gonna be the most receptive to hearing what you have to say.
Yeah, that's great. That is great. I think that's a really huge point. Okay, so talk to me some about, would you call this social selling, or is social selling something different in your estimation?
So I'm not a fan of cold calling, and to overcompensate or to compensate for my, I guess, sentiment on cold calling, I use social selling instead. And social selling is a way to create a warm or soft lead using social media, leveraging platforms like Instagram, Twitter, and especially LinkedIn. And a lot of it is about micro outreaches. You're liking someone's tweet, you're favoriting, a photo that they've shared. You might share an article they posted on LinkedIn. You might view their profile. These are all ways that, someone can see engagement. So when you reach out to them, they'll say, hey, you know what? Jonathan was just looking at my profile last week. I know he liked something that I shared on XYZ topic. It creates, again, another layer of outreach where you've already kind of softened the initial introduction to that degree. And from there, it's just a matter of, a courteous and respectful follow-up.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you correctly, it's about creating connection and awareness so that when you do reach out to them, it's not as cold.
Absolutely. You want them to have some kind of frame of mind. So for example, on LinkedIn, I love LinkedIn. I think it's one of the best tools for business owners of every size to either connect with people, find new talent, or even find prospective clients. So for me, look at something as simple as viewing someone's profile. The second I view your profile, you're going to get notified that, Jonathan Soares viewed, my profile. There's a good chance that you're going to in turn look at my profile and read up on me. Who is this person? So now that I've looked at your profile, you've looked at mine, I can in turn take you and add you to a prospect list that's targeted to a specific, demo. So let's say I'm going after creative directors at an agency. So I'll add you to my creative director list and have specific outreach that's targeted to, our connection on social and also, your specific creative skill set to make it seem that I'm actually, thinking through why I'm reaching out to you and I'm not really wasting your time. But there's already that full circle of, I guess, initial vetting that a prospect has done to do the sniff test and see if I'm actually worth connecting with or speaking to.
Okay. Sorry, I'm taking notes.
Sure. Another way to think about it too is like on the cold calling side, imagine cold calling someone literally out of the blue. They've never heard from you. They don't know about your product. It's pure play cold call. You're getting someone off guard. They're apprehensive, they're tense. You have to walk them off the, clicking and hanging up the phone or telling you off. So the biggest step to doing that is, creating some kind of medium. Some sales folks will, send them an initial, letter or some kind of a promotional piece of material or some kind of a trinket. Years ago, I tried one little tactic where I took a box and I labeled it live lobsters. And, obviously someone, if they see a box that says live lobsters, they're going to open it because they don't want their food to spoil. And lo and behold, it was my product. And, that buyer reached out to me and said, hey, I would have never opened up your box, but you owe me a lobster, didn't you? So that before social selling existed, I had to find creative ways to stand out. So the increase in innovation and technology has made the need for those types of, older methods, they've kind of become obsolete, and there's more streamlined ways to do that now.
Okay. All right. I want to take a quick sponsor break, and then I want to follow up on this aspect of the conversation. Accelerate Your Business Growth podcast is happy to be sponsored by Audible.com. Audible.com is a leading provider of spoken digital audio entertainment and information. They have over 150,000 titles to choose from, and you can listen to them on any device, including whatever you're hearing us on right now. And if you sign up at our link, which is audibletrial.com/businessgrowth, you get one free audiobook and a 1-month trial of the service. Some examples of books you can listen to on audible.com are The Power of Positive Coaching by Lee Kalan and Leading Loyalty by Lena Renee. So visit audibletrial.com/businessgrowth, explore the books that are of interest to you, and receive one free audiobook when you sign up for the trial. Today we're speaking with Jonathan Soares about the secrets to social selling. So Jonathan, when you were talking about, I thought the LinkedIn thing was so interesting and so valuable, and when you were talking about it, a thought came into my mind that that sort of process is all well and good as long as you have quality, like backing it up.
Yeah.
So I think some people think they can fake it and they can, go ahead and do these things without having like their own content out there, without having something that when the prospect goes to check you out and look at your profile, they're seeing that there's actually a there there.
Mhm.
Is that a fair statement?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Of the mindset on content that we're over inundated with an abundance of content. Most people are skimming through their social feeds and not even reading articles or just commenting based on their images. So the likelihood of someone actually clicking on something that you've shared or a newsletter or anything of that nature, it's very slim nowadays. So a lot of it is more so about seeing at a high level, like what kind of content you're engaged with, what your specialties are, what your tags are on LinkedIn, people that have recommended you, other connections, mutual connections are very important. They can see who in their network may be able to vouch for you. So I think on the content side, like there's that. On the targeted side, so there are great search features within LinkedIn. So LinkedIn Sales Navigator allows you to really get granular in terms of how you're targeting a specific lead or kind of segment of leads. So you can filter by company size, you can filter by keyword, there's a Boolean search. So you can really narrow down by using, and or not those terms. So you can filter down specific profile keywords that you want to remove from your search. Again, the geography of where you're targeting. I like micro targeting. So looking at the major regions of LinkedIn and really focusing on specific titles and skill sets tied to specific company sizes. So I know, the type of lead I'm going after and how to craft that conversation. So it's almost like taking a volume approach, but being extremely granular so that you're being thoughtful. A lot of people think volume, that you're just going to spam a bunch of people. But if you spend a lot of time to go through and filter out and vet those leads, they'll definitely pan out. There's 2 tools that I use to make that a more streamlined process, because no one wants to sit on LinkedIn and click profile after profile. I mean, that would take you forever, which I used to do. That was my kind of pay my dues. I literally put, tens of thousands of lead lists together all by hand, searching emails, validated my own emails. So now I use 2 primary tools. The first tool is called eLink. It's elink-pro.com, and that's an auto profile viewer. So that tool allows me to actually put in specific search criteria in auto view profiles. So it allows you to view up to 800 profiles a day, to not violate LinkedIn kind of terms of use. I usually do 300 to 400 views a day, and so every other day. And then from there, once I've viewed that specific person's profile, I'll use a tool called Lead IQ. And what Lead IQ does is they'll actually scrape the search results on LinkedIn and compile a prospect list. First name, last name, email address, title, company size, industry, profile link, industry category. I mean, you name it, it's a full-on prospect list. They actually validate your leads through a database that they check. My second step from there is using a tool called Bright Verify, and I will further verify and validate that those email addresses that are provided to me are accurate. So I'm really taking that list and making sure that the quality of leads are as good as they can be. And then from there, it's into a drip campaign using an email solution. And, it's rinse and repeat.
That's so interesting. Okay, and so when you're using that drip email campaign, and then is there a point at which you're reaching out like by phone, or are the people reaching out to you based on this process?
So typically, the conversion rate is very high, just because of the sales approach. We have incorporated phone outreach into that. Usually on the third or fourth cycle, I like to cap my outreach at around 7 initiations, and then from there it's bucketed into kind of more of a generic outreach. So for my industry, I'm usually reaching out to agency owners, digital agency owners, creative directors, production managers. So once you reached out 6 or 7 times, usually there's a good chance that they're busy, but they've seen the emails. So from there, they're lumped into kind of a monthly or quarterly follow-up of recent launches, software that we've developed or websites that we've built, just so they can see kind of the work that we're doing. And it's much more general to that degree, but we found a lot of success with that because people want to see what you're working on. They might not necessarily want to talk to you.
Oh, that's interesting. Do you ever run into issues with emailing people who haven't opted in, or is it because the email campaigns are less marketing and more direct? Like, what's happening there?
So it's a direct outreach. I
Okay.
never do something like a MailChimp or Constant Contact.
Okay.
I think anytime someone gets an email, and if you look at the sender information, if there's like a weird or wonky extension there, like MailChimp whatever, people know it's spam.
Yeah.
The solution that I use, and there's several of them out there, but the one that we've used is called Mailshake. And basically next to your Gmail, and I can send emails directly from my Gmail. So it is a one-to-one email. It's not like we're sending, a bulk mailer. These are personalized emails that touch upon the person's first name, their industry, their company, and sometimes there's personal keywords that will include there as well to further personalize the outreach.
Okay, that's so interesting. How did you figure all this out? How did you find all of these tools?
A lot of it was just trial and error. I mean, my last business, I loved growth hacking and social selling. I was using MySpace before social media was even a thing to create a personality behind my brand. And then fast forward a number of years later, people are like, oh, the social media thing, you can, sell online. And I had just stumbled upon it and inherently done it. And I had hundreds of thousands of followers at that time in the MySpace days before Facebook, took over. But it's kind of segued and always been a part of how I think about things, because I'm always looking at more efficient ways to accomplish certain tasks. I think in part, that's like my ADHD, whereas I'm always overanalyzing and looking for the most efficient route to accomplish something. And this stuff bodes well into that kind of a mindset.
That's so interesting, because I think that's one of the things that trips people up is they're either thinking, wow, I'm going to have to do all of this manually and I don't even know where to begin, or I don't know how to use this effectively. I don't know what tools and resources are out there. So I appreciate you sharing, the ones that you're using. Do you have, is there a certain number of clients that you are looking to onboard in a year? You don't have to tell me what the number is. I'm just wondering if it's a high number or a lower number to try and equate this to help the listeners with the different industries. Some, I think, need to be adding a lot of clients to their base, and others, could have 10, and as long as they were ongoing and good, they wouldn't necessarily need more. So what's your story?
Sure. So I'll give you different sides of the spectrum. So for me,
Okay.
We need a smaller number of leads to close on an annual basis because our agencies are our biggest business development vehicle. So an agency will pitch a number of brands or companies, all types of digital work. They could do 10, 15 websites a year. So one agency could represent 3, 5, 10 projects for us. So we make our volume by closing these agency partners. The beauty of that model, but also the curse of it, is that every agency is different in terms of their ebbs and flows. So we constantly have to keep backfilling our cycle. So we try and keep at least a pipeline of $1 million worth of potential projects, RFPs in our pipeline, just because of the overall close rate. So there's certain times where, an agency will have bandwidth in-house and they'll do it internally. They'll lose a pitch, or it's, for some other reason, they don't get the project. So those opportunity pipeline is really important for us. Now, if you're a software company, and let's say, you're looking at subscription selling, and your subscription might be $19 a month or, $100 a month, you have to have volume there to really build up, your book of business and, makes commission that's actually keeps you excited and interested. So that level is really why you see a lot of these, expedited outreach, because they're trying to close it, and it's the volume approach where they're constantly focused on that. Now, if you're, a smaller business owner, let's say you own a pizzeria or you own some other type of company, you can use social selling, and a lot of it's just about visibility. It's not about talking to people. Let's say you're a pizzeria owner and you want to do a search within 10 miles of your geographic region. Why is, Joey's Pizza looking at my LinkedIn profile? All of a sudden, you're thinking about having pizza on a Friday night. There's a good chance that, out of sight, out of mind, now you're in someone's mind. They're going to, potentially reach out to you and order a pizza. So social selling isn't necessarily kind of a corporate approach or a higher end kind of a sales approach. Literally anyone can use it to increase, visibility for what they're doing, because these, ads, direct, outreaches you can do on LinkedIn or sponsor types of campaigns, people are inundated with them day in and day out. So you really have to find unique ways. And I think depending on the industry, volume is relative to what your overall objectives are.
Yeah, I think so too. And I feel like on some level, what we're really talking about a lot is marketing, because marketing is about exposure and awareness and timing and, sort of creating that credibility factor of being around, being consistent, with being in front of someone. So when they're interested, when they're ready, when they want to reach out, we're there. We haven't sent them something and then dropped off the planet. At the same time, we're not inundating them with outreach, sort of a delicate balance.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you use any other tools, like social tools, other than LinkedIn?
I've used Instagram. I've actually closed a couple projects thanks to Instagram, believe it or not. It wasn't necessarily my outreach on Instagram. It was the type of content that I was sharing. I tend to post a lot about, my family and my personal life on Instagram, because I want people to get a glimpse into who I am, on a personal level, not so much professionally. And I believe people want to deal or do business with people that they can relate to, or they feel they can trust, or that's honest.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of like Instagram to that degree. Twitter I use as well, but Twitter is usually me, complaining or, sharing like my perspectives that no one's probably listening to or paying attention because of the bajillions of tweets that are out there. So every social network has their own tool. And then, Facebook I don't really use for business development. It's more so seeing my parents and, my in-laws post, wonky things, and I have to message them about what they're posting. So.
So do you not consider Facebook for it because you sell business to business? Or just because your Facebook has always been sort of a personal thing?
My Facebook's always been personal. I've tried Facebook ads. They've always, in my opinion, they've been somewhat inaccurate. I
Yeah.
did an Instagram campaign, which you've obviously, you managed it through Facebook's interface. And I spent $100, and it's this video I did for a game we developed. And I got like 95,000 views in like 5 comments. And I started looking at the profiles of all those views, and they were all fake profiles. And I would argue that there's a substantial amount of traffic, unless you are selling really viral content or a viral type of a product, that a lot of the traffic that you're spending with ad dollars isn't necessarily legitimate traffic or engagement.
Wow, that's interesting.
We don't spend any money on advertising for that reason.
You don't really?
Success, and I think it's a waste of money for business owners. I think Google advertising, like AdWords and like search marketing, is definitely valuable, especially if you're looking at a local business. But in terms of regular advertising, I would be very cautious with that, just because you have to spend a lot to really warrant actionable exposure.
Yeah, I think that's true. But now with Sales Navigator, you pay for that on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's like $70 a month.
Yeah, right. It's not huge.
It's $70,
right.
And you figure all these tools. I think Lead IQ, it's different tiers. It's $100 or so, and then eLink is $40. So $150, $200 a month in tools versus spending $5,000 or $10,000 in advertising. My conversion rate in social selling is light years higher than conversion I've ever seen on advertising.
Oh, that's really interesting. Huh. Okay. So I really have found this absolutely fascinating. Is there anything you're doing that we haven't talked about that you think would be valuable for the listeners?
I would just say to keep tabs in Google frequently, different types of, technologies. Growth hacking is a great buzz term. Go on Product Hunt. There's always new startups coming out with new software. We're in a world of productization. So look at software solutions to make your selling easier, and don't be afraid to try new things and experiment, because things are coming out in blazing fast speed that are making sales professionals' lives light years better.
Yeah, boy, that is a great point. You have to be willing to try stuff and see what makes sense, what works, and you can't live in the 80s, right, or even the 90s. You got to come up here into the 21st century and do the things that are available to you here.
Absolutely.
Wow, that is great. Well, I really appreciate the information. Will you tell the listeners how they can find you and what you've got going on, please?
Sure. They can connect with me on LinkedIn, Jonathan Soares. They can email me, jonathan@agencylabs.com, or connect with me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm pretty reachable, and I always respond, so feel free to say hi.
That's awesome. Thank you. And listeners, thank you. I think you got some information here that we have not talked about before that I know I took notes, and I'm going to go, be checking these things out as well, always looking for new and better ways of doing things. I would also like to thank our sponsor. If you would like to get a free trial of audible.com as well as a free audiobook, please go to audibletrial.com/businessgrowth to sign up. As always, remember to prosper and be curious. And until we meet again on another episode of Accelerate Your Business Growth, goodbye and good day.
For the ones who know that a little late is always too late, and that the clock doesn't stop just because you're missing a part, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry. And our Keep Stock inventory management solutions help ensure you have the right stuff in the right place at exactly the right time. Visit Grainger.com/keepstock to learn more. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Introducing touch-free payments from PayPal, a safe way for your customers to pay. Simply download the PayPal app and display your own unique QR code for your customers to scan. Whether you're a market seller,
I'll take 2 tomatoes and a cucumber,
poodle pamperer, piano tuner, or plumber, signing up to accept touch-free payments for your business is easy. Touch-free QR code payments. Shop safe with PayPal.
Are you tired of seeing your teen or young adult struggle on a path that clearly isn't the right fit? Is your teenager confused about which direction to take after high school? The future of work is changing rapidly, and our kids need to know all of the options available after high school so they're empowered to make the choice that is best for them. In each episode, we explore the latest trends that are shaping the opportunities of today and tomorrow. I'm your host, Betsy Jewell, and this is the High School Hamster Wheel Podcast.